Welcome, saints and skeptics. This is Bible Thump, and I would like to share with you a prophetic dream I had. It was about a year ago. It was right after the Calgary flood and right before the Toronto flood. And the dream I had was of a flood. It was to take place in Ottawa. Well, at least that was my impressions of the dream until the Toronto flood happened, and I became a little bit apprehensive to put it out as there may have been a connection in my dream to Toronto, but I wasn't quite sure um, whether or not that was what God was speaking. Um, the My first impression when I saw it was that it was for Ottawa, and I put that dream on a shelf and didn't really see it. But the last week, week and a half, it's been on my heart to do so. It's not a very elaborate dream. Um, Simply, I was living in a small apartment, as I do. Um, there was some very familiar things with the uh, little apartment that I live in a Victorian home. Um, One of the differences from the time I had the dream till now was my home was filled with plants, uh, which it wasn't then, but it is now. And I don't know if that signifies anything, um, but it was part of that dream. Um, the second thing that was a little different, and was that when I walked out of um, the home was not a Victorian home. I was living in some form of interconnected kind of business area above some businesses connected to actual apartment buildings, and but I think that might play into uh, the multi-faceted aspect of the dream, that it could have been speaking of Toronto and Ottawa at the same time. Um, Either way, um, it started raining. I had woken up. Um, the rain had woken me up in my dream, so I was still sleeping, but in my dream, I woke up to the rain, and um, eventually had to walk outside. Now I saw that it was flooding and it was raining quite heavily. Um, then at some point, the dream cuts over to what I believe was my father lives in an apartment building. And to give you a bit of a visual, it's a tall white building, and there is a open parking lot in the back, and you have to drive underneath the building. So there's kind of like a little tunnel. And so within the dream, me and my father were standing outside underneath the building, watching the flooding happen. The flood happened, and it wasn't something where there was fear in the dream. Um, it was simply something that was happening, and we were witness to it. And to give you an idea what the flood was like in this dream, was it there were obviously it would be different floodings in different areas, but the dream gave a sense that the flood would go um, to knee to waist height at its deepest parts within the city. And I saw cars where the water would go to like the rim of the window. Those are for the smaller cars. Larger vehicles like pickup trucks, you would see them at the bottom of the door. Um, and that quite sums up the dream I had back in 2013. Um, So there's something for you to pray about. Um, Seek God. Make sure that that is definitely. Um, put my dream to the test. Um, so I'm putting that out there for you to consider. And while I'm at it, I'd like a prayer request. Um, I have a particular job where I get to see things that most people don't, and I also keep track of the news. And there's something happening in Ottawa, something spiritual, and it's not good. Um, in the past 2 weeks, I know of 4 suicides. Um, I've been noticing right in the core of downtown, we've had at least 2 to 3 stabbings, and we have had over 22 shootings in Ottawa. These things are somewhat unheard of. Um, I wouldn't say don't exist, but the amount that this is happening is it's not common. Um, you might have heard of this once or twice a year in the past, but to say that these things are happening so quickly, um, so saints, it's time to pray and fast for your city. If you're listening from the Ottawa region, if you're Canadian, join in. If you're from somewhere else on the planet, we always welcome your dreams. Um, but pray for Ottawa. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Um, Hopefully, this witnesses to your heart, and we'll talk to you some other time. All right. Bye.